Hello, hello, hello. Well, howdy, 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 and hello to everyone. Excuse my little hair thing there. We didn't have time for hair and makeup. I don't know what's going on there. So we're supposed to be on Startup Warehouse. Ben is unfortunately running late, but I didn't want us to miss another show. We have lots of things to talk about. So I basically just wanted to instead go live and share with you a theme that I've seen. Oh my, what's with the head? I wanted to share a theme with you all that I've seen a whole bunch in the last 2 weeks, and it's all about email not working. How's your outreach working? What's going on with this client? And how do I develop more business? And I have to say, my skin crawls a little bit because the implication is that our cold calls don't exist, or that our outbound reach should be LinkedIn automation or emails. And hey, well, who here has had luck doubling your number of emails? Listen, I use email a lot, right? I'm very big into automation. I use Linked Helper. I love it. We'll do a show just on Linked Helper that some of you have asked for. But that's not selling only, right? You need to make calls, or at least you need to prospect more. So I don't know that I've seen the right answer in a lot of these threads. So let's take a step back and let's go into sales and the sales cycle, right? The very first step that you ever see in sales, in any sales book, in any sales training, is prospecting. And it's overlooked. Like people, when they go in at like, sell me a pen, like, oh, if you're going to sell this watch, like, what are you going to do? And everyone goes into the pitch, right? That's what people think selling is. Let me go right into my thing. That's way into the sales process. The very first stage is prospecting. And what does it mean? Yeah, planning is part of prospecting, and I'm not going to bore you on planning stuff, but figuring out who you're going to call, being really smart about or who you're going to email, or who you're going to Linked Helper or Octopus with. Don't just blast it out there. Prospecting. What's the smartest thing I can be doing at this stage? What's the smartest email I can make? What's the smartest group I can target for Octopus? What's the smartest group that I can in-mail? What's the smartest phone call I can make? What's the smartest voicemail drop? What's the smartest campaign that tracks activity that I can do? Smartest. Working smart. What's the greatest likelihood of me getting success, right? Where can I get a better ratio of goodness than mediocrity? And why is it the first step? Because smarts outweighs muscle in sales every time. There was a great post this week that someone put on. It's in the Ursa group. That, what do you think recruiting is? And it broke it down into, I think it's X 15% smarts, I think they said, and 60% perseverance, and had all these wonderful traits. Using the right technique was another one. And I said, well, smarts and techniques they go together, right? And if you're really smart about how you're going to do it, then your technique will be better as well. Like, again, they all work together, but smarts trumps everything. You have a balance in everything you do in recruiting, right? Everything. Look at it as a scale, right? And you've got the quantity side, and then you got this quality side, right? And you can absolutely tip the scale either way, and they're both going to work, right? Meaning, and this is where big companies get into trouble, or that micromanager boss that you used to have that you swear you would never do that if you became a manager. But the easiest thing you could control, or at least try to control, is quantity. And quantity is great. It's mathematically very solvent. Double your outbound calls, all things being equal now, no fatigue, no, they're all the same. You double your calls, you're going to get double the results. Always, every time. Again, all things being equal. You quadruple the amount of evening calls you make to get leads or whatever it is, you're going to get 4 times the amount of leads or information. You're asking for referrals, you'll get 4 times the amount of referrals. It's awesome, but it's hard to do and hard to sustain. And I guess the question is, if you could double what you've been doing, why aren't you already? And yeah, you can use some tricks. You can create call blocks, which is, they're great. I mean, we talked about that, with Ben a couple of weeks ago, even of life being a series of sprints. And that's great for a sprint. That will help you add 40, 50% productivity, which will increase your results. But that's just the one part of the scale, the one part of the equation. The other part is the quality. And the quality is really cool because quality is exponential. Exponential. Now, what's the number? Who the heck knows? And of course, I'm out of my beverage, but who the heck knows? So if you double your quality, I think you can at least agree you'll get double your results. But is it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the results? Quality trumps quantity every time, working smart, right? Being much more effective and efficient. That's going to trump just raw numbers. So look at everything you do from that perspective. Now, I lived this because I hated the quantity angle. I really did. I despised it. I loathed it. Right? I think they said that one Seinfeld. I loathed it. I didn't want to have to make 4 times the amount of phone calls every day. I didn't want to double it. As it was, I was sick of them. I wanted to make less. How's that? Hated them. Pure cold call, give me as few as possible. Hated them. And a lot of you do. I know there's always someone that says, "Oh, I love them." Great. You're rare. You're rare. So if I didn't want to make a lot of cold calls, if I wanted to avoid things I did not like, you could either not do them and not make money or not be successful. That's the one angle. Or you could focus on the other end and just get a lot smarter. Now, what does smarter mean? Well, the quality can be broken down into lots of things. Your technique is the quality. So, wow, what if I decided that I wanted to do half the number of phone calls I used to make? Let me do half, but let me really prepare before the calls now. Let me actually look at a script. Let me pause. Let me think about what I'm going to say to Bill. Let me think about what questions I need to ask. Let me pull up his file. Let me actually go to LinkedIn and let me get some information to help warm up that call. Again, you should go to LinkedIn before every call. As an aside, blows me away how many people don't. But I'm going to do it on this call. It's going to be a better quality one. I'm going to find that point that we have in common to try to get that relationship going. Right? So, anything that you do that is smarter or more prepared is going to help your technique. Well, am I going to wing a cold call? Am I going to get back to the old, hey, how am I going to open this one up? What's going to be my line? How am I going to quickly get their attention? How am I going to give them the reason why I'm calling? Right? All these things, you can get really much more effective at it. So I can make 3 of those calls and I'll get better results than 6 or 10 of the calls if I wasn't doing that. So you have your technique and there's wonderful training on it. Frankly, you remember these comments, this is out of control. This is out of control. I'm sorry. I'm glad you're really getting value from what I'm talking about today. And this is unacceptable. So you can, again, focus on quality there. You could also focus on your prospects. That's quality. Whom am I going to call that's much more effective? Right? So, and we talked about Tony Robbins in a couple of sessions, but I don't like the cult aspect of him, but I learned a ton. I went to early on one of his sales seminars just for salespeople, and I shared this story my whole career because the MO was focus on 2 prospects this week, team. 2. I don't care what you sell. Multi-million-dollar, equipment, $30 million Lear jets, staffing, copiers, 2. Now, the concept was about accountability, which meant you're not going to have the luxury of going to the next name in your CRM or your ATS. You're going to have to get much more effective, much better at what you're doing. The other part to that is if you only have 2, slow down, cowboy, is what Tony was basically saying. Give a lot of thought to whom those 2 are going to be. Don't just pick up the phone. Don't just go to the CRM that happens, the name that pops up. Who should you call? So you had to give it a lot of thought. Then you had to have accountability for it. So it's 2 levels of quality. So in our world, I'm like, all right, what? And he's like, by the way, everyone in this class, that's what we're going to do next week. We're going to look at the success that everyone had. And he said 80% of the class is going to come back with a success story next week based upon the history. Will you be the 20%? Then you didn't do what I'm telling you. 80% will come back with a sale, or no, you're not going to sell a $150 million jet, but you'll get your version of what that next step was, meaning you might have gotten now a phone call or an intro or something that never would have happened. So it didn't take a lot of thought for me to take a step back, say, well, who am I going to call? Well, my greatest likelihood for success, if I only had 2 places I'm going to call, and I know I didn't want to be one of those 20%, I got to go where the action is. Like, why would I just call ABC Corporation or XYZ Corporation? What about DEF Corp? Go where the action is. Call where I know they have needs. Now you could say, all right, let me call growing companies more than stagnant companies. Definitely more effective. All things being equal, 10 calls to each, I'm going to do better with the growing companies. If I'm placing accountants, which I used to do, let me call companies that have larger accounting departments than just one-off. Sure, that's smarter. But the real end game was, where's the action? Where are the temps? Where are the perm openings? And all things being equal, if I know their openings, my God, my results are going to skyrocket. That's just being smart. And what if I could add on top of that? What if I could find out where there's openings and they're paying a fee or they're using a temp agency? That's a lot smarter. That's a lot more effective, a lot more efficient, right? If I only called places where I knew they use competitors and they have a checkbook and they're willing to write a $25,000 fee, they're willing to pay a 70% markup on the temp side. I mean, how much greater, if that's all I called every day, do you think I'm going to blow away what you do, making 30 calls a day, calling whomever you're calling? I'm going to blow it away. Now, good news is I don't need 30 of those. I need 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them. And they all won't be landed in 1 week. So I've got 2 weeks where I can make something happen with these 4. And that goes back to Tony's other point, which is it's just 2. Or again, it's 4 over 2 is whatever. The lesson wasn't to keep 2, right? The lesson was to give yourself accountability, that it's not dialing for dollars, that it's not flicking the next button on your CRM, that it's about really being smart and not giving up. One of the points that people mentioned in that post a week ago was it's persistence, it's perseverance, which I totally agree with. So important. But not someone that doesn't have a need. Not someone because they randomly popped up on my ATS as someone I should call because I called them 3 months ago and they popped up now. Maybe I should. But let me be really smart about it. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to prospect really smart. I'm going to make the most efficient calls I can make, the greatest likelihood for success. I use a horrible analogy. Pretend there was a gun to your head and you only had 2 prospects you can call and you had to land business or your family starves or whatever it is. Hate to be morbid. You wouldn't just pick up the phone. You would absolutely source for leads. You would talk to candidates that you know that are doing a lot of interviewing. And you would make sure to talk to them to find out what's going on out there because my family's going to starve. So that's how you learn how to source prospecting, sourcing, prospecting for candidates, for recruits, sourcing, prospecting for leads and clients, sourcing, prospecting. So you're going to be really, really, really smart. And then on top of it, you're not going to give up because it's only 2. But again, so what that forces you to do is be smart in the prospect, greatest likelihood for success. 2 out of every 10 calls, I'm going to land a job order. 4 out of every 10 calls, I'll land a job order versus 4 out of every 100, right? Or 4 out of every 150. So you're being smart in the selection. And then by limiting your prospects, by giving yourself an accountability to your phone call, it forces you to be really smart on how you go about these calls. So you're getting a double whammy, massive efficiency. 10 times greater, 20 times greater, 30 times. It's a massive number. So is my first thing going to be a call? I don't know. No, says Neil. If this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to look them up on Facebook. I'm going to try to connect with them there. I'm going to look and see if there's any mutual friends. I'm going to go on LinkedIn. I'm going to see who I'm connected with there. I'm going to see where else I'm going to get all my information going there. I might try to send a cute message there with nothing other than let's connect. Hey, I notice you're a Penn Stater. I noticed you put sushi on there too. I'm one of the weird people that was going to put that on my profile, whatever. I'm going to try to warm up my call. I'm going to try to talk to some people, see what they know about Steve. Hey, do you have any ins for me? Stuff that y'all know what that is. I'm not doing a training on that. Oh, Neil said go to LinkedIn profile. Yeah. Look at people they're connected to. Duh. When's the last time you did that on a call today? And you actually talk to that person for the purpose of a sales call, of a cold call? Most of the answer is not. It's just not. So you will be smart about it. And then when I call them and I get voicemail, I'm not leaving a message. I am not leaving a message. Why? Because then what do? I wait. I got to wait for, X days until they call back or X hours. So I'll call them back. Let me see if they pick up the phone in a couple hours. Let me try them at 6 p.m. or 6:30. That doesn't work. All right, let me try them in the morning. If that doesn't work, all right, let me leave a voicemail. I'll leave a cryptic voicemail, right? Hey, I'm not going to let them know what it is, maybe to get them to call me back. I'll then maybe send them that email, say, hey, look, I tried to leave you a voicemail. Give me a buzz back. Whatever. I'm not going to give up. And that's when you'll hear people say, wow, I admire your persistence. Look, I'm able to do it because I'm only trying to call you and 2 other people. So that is what Tony Robbins taught me. And, I sourced like the Dickens. And I remember the story. Now, God, I'm dating myself big time. So it would have been 1992, but a year after I joined Accountants on Call, where I later went on to become president. And I had to find out, I had no great leads. I had to find out where, my training video played on my voicemail. So, I needed to source. And so I just called candidates for the sake of finding out who's using an agency where they're in my bailiwick. And I finally talked to someone, payroll manager. And she was being sent by Source Finance, was the name of the company at the time, later to become Romac and Kforce. And they were interviewing at a Six Flags, right? The amusement park. And it was in New Jersey. And I'm golden. So I picked that and one other. And this is a great story because the end story is I made the placement. So home run. But it was really hard, but not really. So I thought it'd be okay. I'm going to make this cold call. I'm going to practice it. I'm not going to take no for an answer because I know there's a need there. I know I've got candidates and I made sure I had one ready. And I know they're paying a fee. But there was no Six Flags in Parsippany, New Jersey where the person interviewed. So, and there wasn't the web and the internet then. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to call like director assistants. You had phone books. And the only director assistants that could give me a Six Flags was in Dallas, Texas. Now, here's what's amazing. I remember the guy's name, and it just hit me right now. I should Google it, and you'll find it where Rex, R-E-X, Yesley. I think it was Y-E-S-L-E-Y. And so I had to do all the old tricks. Oh, let me talk to the receptionist. Let me get some name gathering here. Who runs this? Blah, blah, blah. Stuff that, let's face it, we don't want to do that. And I did it. And I got the guy's name. And I couldn't get him to take my call. And I'm like, I can't give up. I'm going to Tony Robbins in a week. I got to land this. So I left a couple of messages. Then I did the old handwritten note trick. It's a Harvey McKay trick, which works great. Handwritten note sent via FedEx. Works to this day. Let me send you a handwritten note via FedEx, and I guarantee you open it up tomorrow. As an aside. So I send the handwritten note saying, look, I've been trying to reach you. I promise you I won't waste your time. It's real important about this. I will call you tomorrow between 10 and 11 a.m. Texas time. And next day came, 10 and 11 Texas time came. I made my phone call, got his voicemail. Left him a voicemail. Hey, Rex, blah, 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 gave him my sort of voicemail pitch, whatever it was. And, I was getting a little bummed. It was a Thursday, right? I actually had already landed one job order from another one, but this was the Glenn Garrett. This was the great one. And I remember being in the supply room. We used to have phone intercoms that would tell you when the call was yours. And I was getting paid. I don't know what supply I was getting. And I'll never forget it. I get goosebumps to this day when I said it. Neil, there's a Rex Yesley on line 8 for you, whatever. Well, I get goosebumps right now. And I'm like, oh my God. Well, awesome. I get Rex, or he gets me on the phone, and he's not going to deal with me. He's calling me, appreciates my persistence. And again, of course someone's going to call you back when you're doing all that, right? Of course you're going to do all that. Um, but he was blowing me off. He was giving me every objection. And I came there with the attitude that I am not going to take no for an answer, that I'm not going to be obnoxious, but I'm going to go out swinging. I mean, they got a need. They're using Kforce, my competitor, where I know they do like a 25% fee. They're looking for a payroll manager, and we specialize in that. And I've got an MPA ready to go. They got to see this person. And that's the attitude I had. But I went into that objection. I was ready. I gave objection handling 101, maybe objection handling 400. I didn't just give up like you would. Let me call you back. It's like, hey, listen, I asked the questions. I let them do most of the talking. I asked hypotheticals. I'm like, I used all the angles that, people aren't commodities, like you can't just order a Sony XBR90 and we each have the same. We have different inventories, and I played on my CPA background and the fact that we were accountants on call and we specialized in it. And hey, and then I'll tell you what, see, one of my people, and here I went into the MPA call, and we're about to make an offer. I'm like, you got nothing to lose, right? I mean, literally was throwing it all out there. Like, see this person. At least they'll confirm it. I'm not calling you with 100 people. I sought you out for this. So anyway, long story short, they interviewed her and they hired her. Payroll manager. Again, at the time, it was like $38,000, whatever it was, but 25% fee. And my life changed. In business, my life changed because that big light bulb went off. And lesson learned from one Anthony Robbins. And that was all on the session of prospecting. So be smart, prospect smart, hold yourself accountable when you do prospect, and limit your prospects, and your results will be exponential. That is it. Thank you for your attention. Make some comments if you liked it, and I'll see you all around. Good day.